United States will hold key elections later this year. American voters will go to the polls on November the 6th. That's the middle of the Republican President Donald Trump's presidential term. Much is at stake in the U.S. midterm elections. All 435 seats in the House of Representatives are up for grabs. Voters will also decide who will get 35 seats in the 100-member Senate. And 36 state governorships will also be contested. Republicans currently control both houses of Congress. They are projected to retain their majority in the Senate in the upcoming elections. But the Democrats have a decent chance of winning the House of Representatives in the November vote. Now, in a boost to House Democrats, figures show that they are breaking fundraising records. The campaign arm managed to raise a record $1.3 million in May. That's a 30% increase compared with the same period in 2016.
What we've seen in the electoral system is this race that keeps accelerating. And of course, the Democrats have to raise more money because elections have gotten so expensive in this country. But the real question that I think that people need to be concerned about is whether these private individual rich donors, the Koch brothers, the Mercers, and so on, are going to dump huge amounts of money into the elections at the last minute to support Republican candidates. We've seen that happen in the past. We're seeing the beginnings of it here in Wisconsin as people are preparing for the election cycle this fall.
Analysts attribute the financial boost to the Democratic Party's intensified fundraising efforts and renewed popular support. Raising more funds than the Republican rivals does not necessarily guarantee a success for the Democrats, but it certainly raises the chances of a victory for them.
So yes, the Democrats absolutely are raising more money because there are many, many people around the country that are opposed to Donald Trump and the policies of the Republicans. But simply having more money is not enough to win the elections. There has to be a ground game, a campaign to win the hearts and minds of the voters to move that election process forward.
Meanwhile, analysts believe the upcoming midterm vote is in fact a referendum on the Republican President Donald Trump's performance over the past 2 years. At a time of skyrocketing tensions between the Democrats and the Trump administration, a midterm election victory would give the Democrats a much stronger hand in opposing Trump's agenda. The two parties are at odds over several key issues like immigration and health care.
People need to be able to trust that their elected officials are going to represent their interests and not the interests of large corporations and rich donors. And so that's going to take a lot of work on the part of the Democratic Party to rebuild that trust. And they have to rebuild it at the state and local level as well as at the national level.
If the Democrats win control of the House of Representatives, they will get to decide what comes to the floor for debate. In that case, bills backed by the Trump administration will be largely dead as soon as they arrive at Capitol Hill. Trump's rivals are dead set on rolling back many of his favorite pieces of legislation. This is turning the upcoming vote into a showdown between the two camps. There are so many questions about the future course of U.S. politics as a result.
The Democratic Party, in order to regain its position in government, really needs to work to build back the trust of the American people. I think that for so many people, the last election showed that people are dissatisfied with the business as usual of Washington, D.C. And Donald Trump was able to trade on that to build his electoral victory, but it's a real sentiment among the American people.
Will the result of the looming vote turn into another headache for the White House? Will the Democrats follow through on their threats to roll back Trump's bills if they win? Or will they hammer out a compromise and avoid a confrontation? The coming months will probably answer these questions.